Hi, before we find out what happens next, make sure to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. It takes a second and really help us grow. Out of the story.
I always believed my father was the kind of man other daughters envied. Steady, kind, a protector. When my mother passed away from cancer 7 years ago, he held our fractured little family together, or so I thought. He was the first person I called when I got the news that would crack the foundation of my world. I was standing in my tiny kitchen, the walls pressing in on me as the doctor's words echoed. "Clara, it's serious. We need to operate immediately." My hands shook as I gripped the phone, the only lifeline I could think to reach for. "Dad?" My voice wavered despite my best efforts to sound composed. I need you. They found something, and I have to go into surgery. I don't have anyone else right now. Can you come? I need help with the apartment, with Toby, just for a few days." Silence. A pause that stretched long enough for my heart to start sinking. Finally, his voice, warm but oddly distant. "Ah, sweetheart, that's awful. But I'm actually out of town at the moment. Some business came up unexpectedly." Out of town? Business? My father had been retired for years. I tried to make sense of it, clinging to the idea that he must have had a good reason. "Where are you? Maybe I can postpone the surgery until you're back." No, don't do that." He cut me off, the usual soothing tone replaced with something sharper. "You'll figure it out. You always do. I'll call you when I'm back, okay?" And just like that, the line went dead. I stood there for what felt like hours, the low hum of the refrigerator, the only sound in the room. I thought about all the times he'd told me I was his world, his reason for getting out of bed in the morning. All the times I believed him. My chest tightened, but not from fear of the surgery, from the slow, creeping realization that maybe my father wasn't who I thought he was. That night, as I lay in the hospital bed, alone except for the kind nurse who checked on me hourly, I replayed every memory I had of him. The nights he didn't come home while Mom was sick, the unexplained business trips, the sudden need to get some air during family holidays. I had never questioned it, never wanted to, but now the cracks in the picture-perfect image I held of him widened with every passing thought. I had always seen him as my anchor. Now, for the first time, I wondered if I'd been adrift all along. The morning after the surgery, I awoke to the pale light of dawn filtering through the hospital blinds. The sterile room smelled faintly of antiseptic and something sweet, like the juice the nurse had left on my bedside tray. My head ached, but not as much as my heart. There was a single text on my phone, from my father. "Glad you're okay. Talk soon." 3 hollow words that felt colder than silence. Hours passed in a fog of painkillers and fatigue. Nurses came and went, their kindness a stark contrast to the emptiness where my father's presence should have been. I told myself he must have a good reason for staying away, but doubt gnawed at me. He hadn't even asked if I needed anything. He hadn't mentioned Toby, my golden retriever, who was surely anxious and alone. By the 3rd day, I couldn't take it anymore. Between check-ins from the medical staff, I scrolled through his social media, desperate for clues. That's when I saw it. A photo tagged by someone I didn't recognize. My father, smiling beneath an umbrella at a beachside cafe. A woman beside him, with her hand resting intimately on his arm. The caption read, "Weekend getaway with my love." The room seemed to tilt. I stared at the image, my mind struggling to reconcile the man in the photo with the father I thought I knew. Weekend getaway. While I lay here, vulnerable and alone, he was sipping cocktails with a woman I'd never met. My fingers trembled as I zoomed in on his face, looking for guilt, for regret. But all I saw was ease, happiness, like the weight of our family had never touched him at all. The illusion shattered further. I thought back to my mother's last months, the nights he disappeared, the phone calls he'd taken outside, the trips he'd insisted were for work. I had been blind, or maybe I had chosen not to see. That night, as the city lights flickered beyond the window, I made myself a promise. I wouldn't beg for his attention or explanations. Whatever truth lay hidden, I would find it quietly. And when I did, I would decide what kind of daughter I wanted to be to the man he truly was. 2 days after I was discharged, I sat on the worn couch in my apartment, Toby's head heavy on my knee, his brown eyes filled with the kind of loyalty I once imagined in my father. The apartment felt emptier than I remembered, as if even the furniture had absorbed my disappointment. I scrolled through the same photo again and again, trying to convince myself it wasn't what it looked like. That's when my phone buzzed. It was Maya, my oldest friend, the one person who could still read me like an open book. "How are you holding up?" she asked as soon as I answered, her voice warm, familiar. I tried to sound steady, but my words came out brittle. "I'm okay." "Surgery went well." A pause. Then, "Clara, what's wrong? I can hear it." I hesitated, then let the words spill. The photo, the beachside cafe, the woman's hand on his arm, my father's absence when I needed him most. Maya listened, silent but present, the kind of presence I'd longed for from him. "Clara," she said gently when I finished, "I know this is hard, but maybe this isn't the first time." Her words echoed my own unspoken thoughts, and hearing them aloud made the betrayal sharper. "I don't know what to do," I admitted. "I feel like everything I believed about him is crumbling." "You don't have to do anything yet," she said. "Just see. Just let yourself see what's really there." Her advice settled in me like a stone in a still pond, rippling through the haze of confusion. I'd been so desperate to preserve the image of my father that I'd ignored my instincts for years. Now, with Maya's quiet support, I felt the first stirrings of clarity. It was time to stop looking away. The following week passed in a blur of slow recovery and sleepless nights. I moved through my apartment like a ghost, tending to Toby, answering perfunctory work emails, and trying to rebuild my strength. But beneath it all, the need for answers gnawed at me, quiet but relentless. I knew I couldn't let it rest. Not anymore. It started with a simple search, a name, the woman from the photo. I typed it into every platform I could think of, heart pounding, half hoping I'd find nothing. But of course, I did. Her profile was dotted with snapshots of vacations, dinners, weekends away, and in so many of them, my father, his arm around her, his smile easy and familiar in a way I hadn't seen since my mother's funeral. The timestamps told the story. This wasn't recent. This had been going on for years. I scrolled further, my breath shallow, until I came across a photo that made my stomach twist. My father and the woman at a small family gathering, hers, not ours. A birthday cake, children clustered around, and my father holding a toddler on his knee, looking every bit the doting grandfather. A stranger's family, a stranger's child. I stared at the screen, numb. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place. The trips, the late nights, the missed milestones. My father had been building another life, one I was never meant to see, and in doing so, he'd left me to face my darkest moments alone. I didn't cry. Not yet. I closed the laptop, my hands steady despite the storm inside. The truth was laid bare, and now I had a choice, to let it consume me, or to quietly, deliberately decide what came next. I chose the latter. I chose myself. I didn't plan the confrontation. It happened on a Wednesday evening, when my father called as if nothing had changed. His voice filled my ear, warm, familiar, and suddenly unbearable. "Clara, sweetheart, I've been meaning to check in. How's the recovery going?" I took a deep breath. My heart raced, but my voice was steady. "I'm healing, but I think we need to talk." A pause. "Of course. What's on your mind?" "I saw the pictures," I said quietly. "The weekends, the trips, the family, the little boy you're holding. How long has it been going on?" Silence. I imagined him searching for a lie, a way to smooth it over. "Clara, it's complicated," he began, his tone softening, like I was a child again, too young to understand. "You don't know the full story." "Then tell me," I said. "I'm listening." He sighed. "It started before your mother got sick. I didn't plan for it to happen. But life is messy. You know that." I clenched the phone tighter. "Messy? That's what you call abandoning me when I needed you most? You were on a beach while I was in surgery, Dad." "That's not fair, Clara. I didn't abandon you. I had obligations, promises I made. I didn't know how to balance everything. You didn't even try. I whispered. You left me to figure it out alone. Sweetheart, please, let's not let this come between us. I love you. I've always loved you. The words rang hollow now. I let the silence hang, heavy and final. I need time, I said at last. Time to decide what this means for me. For us. His voice broke just slightly. Please don't shut me out. I'm not shutting you out. I'm seeing you clearly for the first time. And with that, I ended the call, my hands trembling, but my heart strangely calm. The days that followed felt both quieter and sharper, as if every sound, every detail of my life had taken on new clarity. I didn't hear from my father again, at least not directly. A few texts, thinking of you and hope you're okay, sat unanswered on my phone, their weight less than I would have imagined. Maya came over one afternoon, setting down takeout containers on my cluttered coffee table. I brought Thai, she said, her voice gentle, as if she knew the storm that had passed through. She looked at me, really looked, and I could see the question in her eyes. I told him, I said simply. He didn't deny it, just tried to explain it away. She let out a slow breath. I'm so sorry, Clara. I shrugged, though the motion felt heavier than it should. I don't want pity. I want to feel like myself again, like I'm not living in some story I made up about him. Maya nodded, passing me a container. Then maybe this is the start. No more pretending. Just you, standing on solid ground. We ate in comfortable silence, Toby curled at my feet. After she left, I stood by the window, watching the city lights blink to life. The ache was still there, of course, but beneath it, something steadier had begun to grow. A quiet resolve. I didn't need his version of love, his explanations, or his approval. I had myself, and for the first time in a long while, that felt like enough. It started with a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. The message was brief, a woman's voice, brittle and urgent. Clara, I know this is strange. I'm Miriam. I think we need to talk about your father. Maya was the first person I told. Do you think I should call her back? I asked, pacing my small living room, Toby's head following my every step. Maya tilted her head, thoughtful. You're not responsible for fixing his mess, but if you need answers, maybe it's worth hearing what she has to say. So I called. Miriam answered on the first ring, her words tumbling over each other. I didn't know who else to turn to. He's disappeared. He's not answering my calls. His things are gone from the apartment. I thought maybe you knew where he is. I sank onto the couch, stunned. I haven't seen him. I haven't heard from him. Not really. A pause on her end. I thought we were building a life together. For years, Clara. He promised me. Promised my son. And now, nothing. I don't understand. For a moment, my anger softened into something like pity. But only for her. I'm sorry, Miriam. I wish I could help. After we hung up, I stared at the phone in my hand, the weight of his choices settling heavier than ever. His secret life was crumbling, and he was running from the wreckage. But I wouldn't chase him. Not anymore. The message came late one night, long after I'd convinced myself he wouldn't reach out again. My phone vibrated on the nightstand, its soft buzz slicing through the quiet. His voice filled the voicemail, brittle and unfamiliar. Clara, please, I need to see you. I don't know where else to go. Sleep eluded me after that. I lay staring at the ceiling, the weight of his words settling over me like an old fraying blanket. There was a time when those words would have had me running to him without hesitation. But now, they stirred something more complicated. A mix of sorrow, exhaustion, and reluctant curiosity. We met at a cafe I barely recognized, a place he used to take me for ice cream after school, back when I thought he was the best man in the world. He looked older, smaller, as if the lies had finally started to hollow him out. His eyes were bloodshot, and his hands shook when he lifted his coffee cup. Thank you for coming, he began, voice low. I've made mistakes. I see that now. I said nothing at first, watching him, waiting, and then gently, What is it you want, Dad? His eyes darted to the window, as if searching for an escape. I've lost everything. Miriam, The apartment, the money's gone. I thought I could handle it all, I really did. I thought I deserved to be happy, to have more. The words struck me harder than I expected. More? While Mom was sick? While I was begging for your attention? His face twisted, shame and defiance mingling in his expression. Your mother. She was so consumed by her illness. I felt invisible, forgotten. Miriam made me feel alive again, and I kept chasing that feeling. I didn't think about the cost. I swallowed hard, my heart aching with a grief older than this moment. And when I needed you, when I called you from that hospital bed, his voice cracked. I panicked. I couldn't face you. I told myself you'd be fine. You've always been so strong. I closed my eyes, gathering strength. I was strong because I had to be, because you weren't there. His tears came then, silent and unchecked. I don't deserve anything from you, but I'm asking, please, help me. For a long moment, I looked at the man I'd once idolized and saw him for what he was. Not evil, but weak. A man who chose himself again and again. I hope you find your way, Dad, I said quietly. But this time, you'll have to do it without me. The air felt lighter as I stepped out of the cafe, the sound of traffic and the hum of the city grounding me. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. For the first time, I wasn't leaving with guilt trailing behind me. I was leaving with clarity. That evening, Maya came by, her presence as steady as ever. We sat on my balcony, watching the city lights blink to life. How did it go? She asked, though I could tell from my face she already knew. He's lost, I said softly. He's a man who kept choosing himself, and now doesn't know how to stand without someone propping him up. Maya nodded, her gaze warm. And you? I'm done carrying him. I see him for who he is. I don't hate him, Maya, but I can't save him, and I won't let him drag me under. We sat in comfortable silence, the weight on my shoulders easing bit by bit. When my phone buzzed with another message from him, more apologies, more pleas, I silenced it. Not out of cruelty, but because I finally understood. I owed him nothing. My grace didn't have to come with obligation. That night, I slept deeply, dreamlessly, and when dawn broke, it felt like a beginning. The days that followed felt quieter, not because the world had changed, but because I had. The constant hum of anxiety I'd carried for so long had faded, replaced by something steadier. I began to notice small things again. The way Toby wagged his tail when I came home. The soft warmth of morning light spilling across my kitchen table. Maya and I spent weekends decluttering my apartment, clearing out what no longer served me. Old photos, keepsakes that once felt precious, now seemed like relics of a story I no longer needed to tell myself. You're making space, Maya said, as we boxed up things for donation. For whatever comes next. Work felt different too. I took on projects that sparked something in me, turning down clients who drained my energy. I carved out time to walk in the park, to read, to sit quietly without feeling I should be doing something more. Occasionally, my father's messages would trickle in, short, tentative attempts at connection. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. His words no longer held the power to sway me. I read them with a kind of distant compassion, the way you might read a stranger's letter and wish them well without inviting them in. The message came late on a rainy afternoon. My inbox pinged with a name I hadn't seen in over a decade, Aunt Lillian, my mother's sister, the woman who'd quietly drifted out of our lives after Mom's funeral, swallowed by old family tensions I'd never fully understood. Her email was short, tentative. I've been thinking about you. If you'd be open to it, I'd like to see you. I stared at the screen, conflicted. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to keep my quiet cocoon undisturbed. But curiosity, and maybe a need I hadn't admitted to myself, urged me to reply. I'd like that. When we met, there were no awkward formalities, no need to comment on the years that had passed. Lillian looked older than I remembered, streaks of silver in her dark hair, lines that spoke of laughter and sorrow both, but her eyes were still kind, still steady. I wasn't sure you'd want to see me, she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of lost time. I wasn't sure either, I admitted, but I'm glad we are. We walked as we talked, letting the rhythm of our steps fill the spaces between words. Lillian shared pieces of family history I'd never known, stories of my father's charm and recklessness in his younger days, his endless hunger for admiration, even at the cost of those who loved him. How my mother had shielded me, hidden his betrayals until I was old enough to stand on my own. How Lillian had stepped away, unable to bear watching it unfold. "I'm sorry you had to find out like this," she said at last, "but I hope knowing helps." And it did. Her honesty didn't reopen wounds. It closed them. When we finally parted, the rain had stopped, and the air felt clearer, as if some unseen weight had lifted. I sat at my desk, as twilight spilled through the window, the city quieting beyond the glass. A blank sheet of paper lay before me, and for once, the silence didn't feel heavy. I picked up a pen and began to write, not to him really, but for myself. The words came slowly at first, then all at once. The anger I had carried, the heartbreak, the hope I'd clung to for too long. I wrote until my hand ached, until there was nothing left unsaid. When I finished, I folded the letter neatly and placed it in the back of a drawer. No need to send it. The act of writing had been enough. The weight in my chest eased, and in its place was something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Later, I grabbed Toby's leash and we stepped into the soft evening air. The world smelled clean after the rain, and the sky glowed with the last light of day. We walked slowly, savoring the quiet. Near the parking lot by my building, Toby tugged his leash, curious about a figure crouched near a car. A man straightened, brushing dirt from his hands. He smiled, a little sheepish. "Sorry, my dog managed to drop her ball under my car. Yours seems curious." I smiled back, surprised at how easy it felt. He's nosy, and apparently a helper. "I'm Ethan, by the way." As I met his easy smile, a warmth flickered in me. A quiet reminder that sometimes hope finds us when we least expect it.